How is Trump doing in the Midwest right now?
He's doing well. He's feeling good.
Or you mean in the Midwest?
Oh, yeah.
You guys go way back.
Calls you all the time.
We're big tweet buddies. I've got my own nickname. I've got my own nickname.
Oh,
what is it?
I didn't realize that.
Sloppy Mike. And you know, and when you think of it, it's like for a guy who like lies 13 times a day, it's one of the more honest nicknames. So
well, that's one thing I wanted to get with you, which is that you are a vocal proponent of impeachment. Now, I wonder, I mean, do you think it makes sense for the Democrats to impeach Donald Trump over this Ukraine gate when Nancy Pelosi, who's leading this, did not impeach George W. Bush over the Iraq war, something you were a vociferous critic of? I mean, how do you square that? Are you still supportive of it? Because it seems most of the public, it just goes over their head and they don't really understand what's going on right now.
Okay, so you were in school during the Iraq War.
Yeah.
So we can't go back and do that over. I am in favor of those countries who have gone on the record to say if he visits their country, he will be arrested as a war criminal, as will Cheney, Rumsfeld, and Wolfowitz. They literally, they know that it's a little iffy if they should go to, what was that one country actually, I think, was it Cheney or whatever went to, and it was basically, they had to say, he has to leave. Same thing happened to Pinochet, you know. But anyways, no, what has to happen, yes, of course, not only is he going to be impeached, he has to be convicted by the Senate, and he has to be removed from office. And as does Pence, who appears to be involved in the same scam that was going on.
But that's not going to happen, Michael. He's not going to get convicted in the Senate. Yeah.
That's what they told the person who burned the first draft card. That we won't leave Vietnam until Vietnam is owned by the United States as a colony of ours. That's anybody who was told that we'll never have gay marriage. In the 2004 election, Karl Rove and these guys got ballot amendments in 14 states to make it part of the Constitution. It passed in all 14 states, outlawing gay marriage in 2004. By 2015, a Republican Supreme Court made it the law of the land. I mean, change can happen quick in ways you would never expect it to happen.
Yeah, I think that's entirely fair. One thing that I do think is interesting, though, is that of all the things that Trump has done since he's entered office, including causing real harm to real human beings, that the thing that triggers the Democratic establishment is when one of their own is threatened, when essentially another elite is threatened over the sacred principle of military aid. I think that's interesting.
It is very interesting, and I think, let me just say what maybe some people are thinking as they're watching this, especially if they're Democrats. Nobody really wants to talk about the gas company that Biden's son got $50,000 a month to be on the board.
That was my next
It's not okay.
Well, I think the memo has gone out that nobody should be talking about that right now because we need to focus on impeachment. And it would be a false equivalency if we were to talk about it.
Sure.
Because Hunter Biden didn't break any laws. It's been thoroughly investigated. All the conspiracy theories have been debunked. End of the story. Nonetheless, the average American who say is watching this right now or just pays a little bit of attention knows how unfair the system is when the children of the elites get this, where he gets to fly on Air Force Two to China, and within a couple of days is on the board of a company there.
Right.
We all know how wrong that is, no matter what the party is.
And how great of an argument is it for us to make that, well, their corruption is illegal and our soft corruption is legal? So that's really, I mean, it seems like you're sort of parsing there, even though you're right, it is a false equivalency.
It happens all the time, though. I mean, how many people from the working class get into the elite colleges? Yet we only become aghast when Lori Loughlin or Felicity Huffman went that extra step to pay somebody to fix the SAT scores. But
we're fine with our president
donating $6 million is
that's
right. We're fine with our president selling out after they get out of office, but when they're in office, that's sacred, which it is. But you know, it becomes hard to parse when Democrats play the holier than thou attitude, but have things like their son sitting on a board making $50K a month.
Well, you won't find me defending the holier-than-thou Democrats because there's a whole history in my lifetime of a Democratic president sending my generation to a war in Vietnam. And there were 9 boys from my high school that came back in a box. For what? For what?
Right.
And then at the football game on Friday night, we're supposed to stand up, take your hat off, sing the national anthem. Really? Okay. You know, I thought of this actually the other day when the woman in Fort Worth was shot, the black woman, through the window by the white officer. And the next day, her brother held a press conference with the family. He was stationed, and still is, in the Navy. He had to leave the base to come to Fort Worth for that. And I looked at him and I just thought, at some point, it's going to cross through his head. Why have I offered to give my life for a country that still allows this to happen? Over and over and over and over again. And yet you ask these young black men and women to join the service, to sign up to die so that you and I don't have to die if that happens.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think when you ask that question about the Democrats, and you probably can tell in the tone of my voice as it changed, that I've been pretty angry for a long time.
Yeah.
And a lot of the pain and suffering has happened with Democratic administrations. Flint, Michigan. You know, this happens while we had a Democratic president.
Yeah.
And a Republican governor got away with covering up the fact that that water was poison. When he learned that it was poison, he didn't shut the tap off that moment. He let them keep drinking the water while they tried to figure out their strategy. And then when it became public, the fact that President Obama's Justice Department didn't go in there and take care of him and it, that the EPA didn't come in with backhoes and equipment to tear up the pipes. And then people wonder, geez, why is it in Flint in 2016 that 8,000 African Americans who voted twice for Obama in 08 and 12 stayed home for Hillary in 2016? 8,000 just in Flint. She lost the state by 2 votes per precinct, 10,000, 11,000 votes. That's all. That's all. But that's the consequences of if you say you're for the people and then you do nothing for Detroit or Flint or places like that.
Right.
People will stay home. They won't vote for Trump, but the vote has been depressed by the very Democratic Party that is all so nervous and afraid, and you know, telling Democrats who are running, don't say you're going to take away people's AR-15s. And actually, our great history in this country is, and the reason why we've made it this far, I think, is we've had so many people that bravely stood up and said, you know, this is wrong, and I don't care if I'm reelected or not. And I remember the first book I read as a little kid was one, I hope this doesn't make me sound weird, was Profiles in Courage by President John F. Kennedy. And it was all about people that took a stand.
What are you working on next? What should we be looking for?
I am working on something for the coming election year. I can't really discuss it publicly.
Come on.
You got to give an exclusive preview.
If the people watching this will agree just to keep it amongst themselves.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And then,
We trust our audience deeply, yes.
Okay, really? Is everybody at home agreeing to this?
Put a thumbs up.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, what I'm planning to do is.
Wow.
That sounds incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's. I'm just gonna stay out of jail. That's the main thing.
Okay.
Right.
Good luck with that. We've got your back.
All right,
Michael,
thank you.
great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll have more Rising after this.